Hi, this is Eric at Frog Valley Tropical Fruit Farm, and this is Florida Natural Farming. Today I'm going to do a video on Garcinia latissima, new seeds I got, and I'm going to talk about the star apples we have. Not all chrysophyllums. Also we have the juicy pearl, which is our Argenteum aeratum subspecies from Australia. Anyway, I'm in here with my new little miniature heifer. Tiny Bubbles, we call her, little Bubbles. And she's so cute. She's about 5 days old or 4 days old, something like that. This is her mother, Bogle Farms Luna. She's a good looking cow. And what a tiny little baby. And she is just so cute and precious. And this is the fertility of our farm. And when we started this journey, it was to grow tropical fruit trees. I wanted to be biodynamic certified, and I became biodynamic certified, but there was really no information on how to grow rare tropical fruit trees and biodynamically or organically. In fact, people told me I couldn't do it, and I, posted my results on Tropical Fruit Forum, and I got negative feedback, and people just told me I wasn't doing what I was doing, and it drove me to try to figure out what is going on. And so I took a bunch of soil science classes and have been on this journey of regenerative agriculture ever since. So lately somebody's been posting about Florida Natural Farming, this YouTube channel on TFF. I stay off of there because it just was bizarre that I couldn't have my results just because, and it drove me to start making these videos. So I'm forever thankful. Our mangoes are starting to rebloom back here that didn't set fruit. We're getting lots of fruit set. We always do. All anybody has to do is go look at our previous monthly farm update videos that I did the last year and see that our mangoes produced large crops. And then if anybody has any questions or doubts that we get 3 crops a year, sure, they may not be the biggest crops, but our oldest mangoes are only 6 years old. The majority of our mangoes are just 4 years old, so just turned 4 years old. So, and we're all purchased from as small 3 gallons, and we dry farm. So they just have to look at different months to see that we actually had crops in 3 separate seasons. I don't even feel a need to comment on people's naysaying and calling me a misleading people when Shad, a well-known grower in Bukile, I think, or on Pine Island, has more than 1,000 mangoes, and he says he gets multiple crops a year on some varieties. So why it's possible for them to do it and not for me is kind of a little strange to me. But that's just the way it is. And the people that were naysayers, the negative people, the negative comments have actually inspired me to start thinking again. So I'm forever grateful for the negative comments. I don't really understand why somebody can be so hateful, but it's not for me to figure out their mental issues. It's for them to have their own journey. And but if you're like gaslighting me and you haven't watched any of my videos, and I have video proof, maybe you need to watch the videos and see what I'm doing here and are able to understand. So this is another mango that did not have set fruit, but it's reblooming. Here's the old blooms that got too cold. It got too cold because I noticed all our mangoes do have fruit set on them that are blooming now. So like this honey kiss. So the negative comments that we don't don't get 3 fruit crops a year, and that I'm misleading people and stuff, are totally disproven by the fact that I do videos, which is exactly why I started making videos in the first place, to counter the gaslighting that was going on, the false information, the false narrative that other people were trying to create that happens to proliferate on tropical fruit forum, unfortunately. As much as I like it and would like to post on that, it's just I provide too much controversy, or I create too much controversy because of the new growing techniques that I am doing, which aren't even new growing techniques. They are indigenous techniques that we Europeans basically have totally ignored from modern agriculture. In fact, they're still ignoring the indigenous knowledge on how to grow achachiro, and they look to Australia to grow how to grow achachiro rather than Bolivia, where it's from, and they've been growing it successfully for thousands of years in a natural environment. That's how they commercially grow it. They grow it naturally in nature. So I look to those indigenous peoples for my inspiration, which is where I got my inspiration on how to grow mangoes. And to say that we don't know how to grow them is totally misrepresenting anything. Yeah, I don't consider I know everything, but I do know that India has been growing mangoes similar to this for thousands of years, and that's who I look to for my inspiration. I don't look at somebody that's been growing in conventional farm system in Florida for 40 years for my inspiration, and that's not who I want to mimic. So if that's who you want to follow, then be my guest, but that's not who I am. And so I had to forge my own path, and I borrowed from indigenous cultures. So here is a mango that just got done setting fruit. See, it has powdery mildew. I'm showing this so that I can show that there's lots of fruit set even with powdery mildew in another month. I need to state that because somebody will say, oh, it's covered in powdery mildew. You need to like apply copper and sulfur every other week during the bloom period to get rid of it. But I found that the powdery mildew does not affect fruit set, and in fact you could look at our February videos of the monthly farm update from last year, and then look at the March one, then look at the April one. You can clearly see that the mangoes had powdery mildew and set huge giant crops. So we do need the antagonists, the plant pathogens, to in combination with soil health principles, in combination with applications of probiotics and prebiotics in organic supplement inputs, and that's what we use for our mangoes. We use I put a pile of our compost next to a tree after it's done fruiting because it contains raw manure. We cannot put it before it fruits, and if you do, you have to wait 120 days. That's why you'll notice no compost is below these trees, fresh compost. It ate it all up, but one pile I found is sufficient. It's 1 day's worth of compost that contains raw manure, raw zebu manure, and the plant, the soil microbes get it and feed the nutrients to the plant and build a healthy rhizosphere for the plant, which the plant is then able to build secondary metabolites that create a immune response in the plant that can counteract the effects of fungal pathogens naturally. So that's what we do. So I'm going to go look at the star apples, the juicy pearl in particular, and I might look at the achachiro. I need to get my Garcinia latissima seeds. They're huge. I've got this rose here. I used to have a huge giant rose garden. This is a very hard rose to grow called crepuscule. It's a tea rose, antique tea, not hybrid tea. and it's just stunning. And I put a whole, I know that roses love horse manure because I've had horses my whole life until the last 5 years, I think, when they finally, my old horses finally died off. And now I have cows and donkeys, so that's donkey manure. And this rose just loved it. Plain, straight manure right there. It doesn't burn plants. High nitrogen fertilizers, like from concentrated fresh chicken manure, would probably burn a plant, or slurries from CAFOs, confined animal feed operations, highly concentrated nitrogen sewage, animal manure pits would probably cause a nitrogen burn. But just fresh, holistically grown animals, these are our Garcinia, is not going to cause, never has caused any leaf burn or anything on any of my plants. So that's kind of like misinformation that's out there. So look at the size of these Garcinia latissima seeds. And I got them from Anderson Tropicals. They're huge. They're like the largest seeds I've ever seen. The fruit's supposed to be amazing on this tree. And these are the most expensive seeds I ever bought. $50 each. I couldn't believe I did it. But we are a Garcinia. That's what we specialize in, is Garcinias. We fruit. Right now we're currently fruiting 8 different species of Garcinias, the latest one being Garcinia hombromiana. But this is Garcinia latissima, and it's from Southeast Asia, like Borneo and Indonesia, I believe, maybe parts of India. I'm pretty sure that's its general range, but it's got huge, giant fruit on it, and it's a gigantic, tall tree, and it grows wild for the most part. And this one has a root on it already that looks very good. And I soaked it in this water. The root didn't look that good before I put it in the water. And what I do with my water, a lot of people sterilize their seeds. I get a soil aggregate and I drop it in there. And if I don't do that, then I touch some manure, some fresh manure, and then put it in there and leave it in there. In fact, I'm gonna put this little zebu turd that's semi-fresh in there, kind of dried, but just so it can get some biology on its surface that will enable the plant to have a embryo coated in microbes that will colonize its root zone, that root, and they will build in the soil and prevent that plant from succumbing to drought stress and stuff. So I believe drought stress is very important. I believe that drought stress is akin to intermittent fasting in humans. So you need to have the drought stress, the leaf, you need to have some drought stress, much like we need to have the intermittent fasting to kickstart our metabolism. And I haven't read anywhere where that's the case, but I have read some stuff, and I'm going to do links of it on metabolism in plants and how drought's affected. And, you know, they create the secondary metabolites in order to combat the, this is the juicy pearl star apple from Australia, the Argentium irratum subspecies. And it's about 4 years old from seed, and it's finally getting big enough. Always been dry farmed, never been watered. And it's finally looking really good this year. And hopefully this year it will produce fruit and give us some seeds. So the secondary metabolites that are produced in plants are what's required for the plant to effectively handle changes in its environment, whether it be from biology or from environment. So biological or environmental stress. That's what the secondary metabolites do. And then when we eat them, they're the compounds in plants that provide therapeutic instill therapeutic effects on us. So we need them, and that's what they make the a lot of the pharmaceuticals out of. This is our fruiting achachiro tree. This is why we started the farm, and it's starting to flower very nicely. So it's Garcinia humilis. Who knows when they'll, or if they'll change the name, but that's the name that is most closely associated with this tree right now. And this was a kind of a small, 6 foot tall, spindly looking tree, about the size of that branch right here, about 6 feet tall, in a root pruning pot. I figured it was probably 6 years old or 5 years old when I got it, and I got it to fruit within 4 years of being here. And what I did to get it to fruit, I think, is I gave it zebu manure. I doused the whole thing with zebu manure, and I also chopped up flowers off of my Garcinia trees and leaves during the time that the fruit was flowering. When the Garcinias, like the MB and the intermedia, Garcinia intermedia, were flowering, and then I made a tea out of that, and I sprayed the whole tree with it. So I don't know if that had an effect on it, but it started flowering, and it's been fruiting ever since then, right after I did that. Right after I did the zebu manure, the miniature zebus. That's why we use them. So that's our big achachiro tree. So I'm going to get these stakes here to mark plants. I have a very nice ginger, torch ginger, a red one, that seems to survive the winter just fine. Usually this giant red one has succumbed or had die-off in previous winters, but I don't think that the low was that low this year. But the long cold periods, repeated extended cold periods, were low enough to damage a lot of our mango flowers. And thankfully, because we have our soil plant metabolism working at its optimal performance because of the way we grow, the way we manage naturally, and we do intermittent fasting because we don't water. So when you do intermittent, this is my theory. When you the plant naturally goes through wetting and drying cycles. It's not constantly giving water. It boosts the metabolites in the plant, so it makes its metabolism greater. Whereas if you constantly fed your plant water, just as if you added, well, which you do when you use salt-based fertilizers, which hinder microbial life, which is where the plants get the endophytes that trigger the creation of the metabolites in the plant, then you're not going to have your plant metabolism, or the metabolites in the leaf of the plant are going to be affected, and hence we have the decreased nutrient content of our plants due to these salt-based fertilizers and the pollutions we use to grow them in, and the constant watering. So to build soil, you have to have a wet-dry cycle. Wetting and drying builds soil. With the living, in combination with the living roots and the microbes in the soil. And one of our major principles is to not walk on the system and to not disturb it. And definitely we do not mow, and all this stuff grows on its own, and I just add different plants in it. So we have like four different star apples, 2 chrysophyllum. We got the Oscar's giant purple star apple right here, Chrysophyllum Camito, and this is Argentium uratum. This is the juicy pearl star apple, seed grown. Probably one of our rarest plants here. Probably very valuable. I'm surprised that nobody's reached out to me to get air layers for that. I would be willing to do that, but probably you'd have to work with me. I don't hire people, and I don't get volunteers to do work for me here. A lot of people have problems with regenerative farms that get free labor, but I am a sole person here. I've just now got my partner to retire, and they help with the cows. They're greatly needed for the cows. So this Inga spectabilis tree is doing good. It's got flowers all over. My friend Frank has fruit on his Inga tree. But he has the inga I don't have. I think it's Fuilii. That's, I believe, edulous, but I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure. But probably our second rarest star apple, and I don't believe this is a chrysophyllum, to be honest with you. Maybe it is, but the leaves look too much like the juicy pearl, so Argentium. So I don't know if it's a hybrid of some sort or what, but this is the DPI Gold, seed grown. And it's kind of been slow to get going, but it seems like it's finally busting a move here, and it survived a while here. This was a very compacted spot because it's right in front of the house. It was a lawn. In fact, this used to be all sunken lawn ponds when it rained, and that's why I had to learn how to fix the soil and get the water to drain into the aquifer and not just sit above a compaction layer. And so that's why we do the living roots, and we stay off of it. And then I add that's our daily compost. I decided to give extra piles to this area for the inga tree and for the DPI Gold. I thought DPI Gold and Philippine Gold were the same thing, so I was calling that one mistakenly Philippine Gold, but I bought it as DPI Gold, so I'm assuming that's what it is. It certainly looks different than the Oscar's Giant Purple, the Chrysophyllum comito, which is what that is. This is one of those cuties, clementine. Organic clementines that are supposedly seedless. I found seeds in it, and on this particular one has thrived. So I've been trying to find more seeds in it, and I haven't been able to find any more since then. But I keep trying because I love them. I'm so excited to see what that does. This is a cutting of a blood orange that I did in pure zebu manure. And the guy, that epiphyte that started the thread on Florida natural farming, he seems to be, he watches my videos, and he seems more open to what I do here, and but he watches the videos. If you don't watch my videos, how are you going to know what we do and whether it works or not? So it's just bizarre. But he seems to have some interesting ideas, and yes, I do plant aloes around my trees. I just did a bunch of them. I like aloes. This is a cedar bay cherry, also from Australia. So all these plants shared information with one another via the below ground fungal hyphae, the mycelium. And this is in the path of our that's fungi right here. It comes up brown on the camera for some reason right here. This is in the path trying to fix the compaction. And it's all over here. And we have so many different types of fungi. I think I counted like 15 different types of arbuscular fruiting fungi here. Lion's mane, reishi mushrooms, I guess. Those are saprophytic fungi, but they also exchange water. So I firmly believe that this is a Jaco beach star apple, and that's leaf damage from cold. This is slightly cold sensitive, not severe, but that's what leaf cold does to the chrysophyllum. And that's just 40. So it is a little more, it seems like it's about as cold sensitive as the durian, to be honest with you. It's getting ready to drop all those leaves, but it's quite a big tree. And then this is the Polyteria comito, the abiu, and seed grown. It's doing good. The rabbits got all of them but that one. This is a big kwai-muck tree. We have two different types of kwai-muck. We fruit both of them. This one is a seed grown tree. It doesn't produce the fruit of the grafted tree that I got from Excalibur. This is that Inga tree, and it's covered in bloom. So I think I'm fairly certain that this is the year that this is going to provide a bunch of fruit. There's one of my little rabbit friends. Hello, please leave my fruit alone. My fruit trees. This is I think this might be one of the next Garcinias that produces fruit here after our Lukes. Our Lukes is flowering now, but I want to see if it holds flowers. Sometimes the first flowering does not set fruit, so I have to wait and see on that. But this is the Garcinia macrophylla, and it's supposed to be probably one of the best tasting fruits there is. That they describe the Platonia insignis fruit to taste like it, and all growing naturally, all without water. And plants have a memory for drought, so when you first start on this journey and you want to do dry farming, you might have, I had to get my little seeds. You might want to, the plants are going to look stressed. I mean, these plants look very stressed because I plant everything without watering it. And that's how I planted this whole grove. None of the trees were watered. And in fact, I don't even usually water my seeds that I start in pots. As long as it has a hole in the bottom of the pot, I can't carry those little stakes in this at the same time, then it seems like the seeds get enough water, and the ones that are going to survive are the ones I want. And that's how that little cutie was started right there, that's now getting big. So I'm going to go plant these, and I said that we started this farm to be an achachiro farm, not a mango farm, an achachiro farm. That's one right there. We have about 500 of them, I believe, give or take some. There's another one right here. They're everywhere, varying sizes. Most of them are quite small because I start them from seed. And when I first started growing them from seed, they just took forever when I first started planting stuff here. And that's because you have to build up the microbiology in the soil in order to get the plant growth promoting nitrogen fixing microbes that live in the soil. So the nitrogen fixing microbes are what instills the nitrogen fixing properties to all plants. All plants have the ability to fix nitrogen. And when you allow them to grow naturally and you feed your soil with probiotics, which is like chop and drop, and then, or prebiotics, which is chop and drop, or in our case, we use hay, and then nature does a lot of its own natural chop and drop, which is what those palm trees are. That's probiotics or prebiotics. And then the probiotics is our manure or compost, as I'm starting to call it. Want to see if those little ilama seeds are coming up. Oh yeah, there's a citrus coming up right here, it looks like. Yay. I'm pretty sure that is the citrus of the a blood orange I got. That's not the citrus of the I gotta go set this over here where I'm gonna plant it. Citrus of the Clementino rubino that I got from Virginia fruit growers. I had to try buy some seeds from another source because I wanted that so bad, and the seeds I got I wanted to make sure I had extras, 2 different sources. So I bought some extras from another source. It looked like a great citrus, and citrus is definitely one of those things that can be grown here from seed without watering, and we don't have to water. And especially since most of our water in Florida, unfortunately, is polluted with forever chemicals and other toxicants. We do have the most polluted lakes in the nation, and a lot of that is pesticides. So it's very frightening and scary, and those pesticides do wind up in your food when you use the water. So that's another reason why I don't water our plants and don't feel the need to here, even during drought. And they produce fruit very well. You just have to look at my videos, and you have to look. Just like you have to learn, you have to read to learn. You can't just make up stuff and have a false narrative of actually what's going on. So that's why I'm able to understand a little bit about what's going on, because I do a lot of reading. My mother was a librarian, and I like to read science papers. So this is our cacao tree, and it's looking great. It's dropping its leaves at the end of winter, which is totally normal, especially since we're going in a dry spell. So nothing to worry about. I'm not even afraid of that. I've been growing cacao continuously for 13 years, so I kind of know how to do it now. And I planted about 100 cacao trees. We got the yellow ribbed or Fosteriana or whatever it is, and we got the Trinitoro, and we got the Criollo, and this is yellow ribbed. And I'm seeing fruit now that it's dropped leaves everywhere, so way up high. Some of the fruit dried up, but this is a small tree, and there's like 20 fruit on it that are all, more than 20, that are all gonna make it. And I imagine this month it'll start ripening up, some of them. And let me get my shovels so I can plant that Garcinia latissima. So the bioactive compounds in Garcinia latissima look, amazing. The secondary metabolites that it creates especially when it's being grown in natural conditions. So it's under some sort of stress. So water stress, I believe, in plants is the same as intermittent fasting in humans. Because the soil solution goes into the water, and when you deprive it of nutrients with the drought, then you're going to be fasting. The tree is going to be fasting, and I believe it makes the plant stronger. I know I don't have to worry when we don't have rain for 3-4 weeks here. I don't have to worry about any plant dropping fruit. I don't have to worry about when the rain does come that all the mangoes are going to drop off our tree, because the trees have a memory of drought, and it has the secondary metabolites in the soil because they send them from the plant into the soil, and it instills the memory of those past droughts into new seedlings that get planted into this soil. So soil has a memory. I'm a firm believer of that. I think all memories on earth probably are stored in the soil. So I'm going to do this little plant right here, or one of the seeds. Try to put the shovel in. I got to plant it pretty deep. So it's such a big seed, I can't just shove it in there with the roots. So I'm going to take out some of the soil. Usually I like to leave the soil as undisturbed as possible, but with that big huge seed, I want to do it right there. And here it is, the first one. Looks very good. Look at the size of that seed. This one had a root on it when I got it. It looked kind of dried out, but it looks a lot better now. I like Anderson Tropicals. I wasn't sure about them at first, but I've had good luck with their seeds. So I'm going to put this right there. Then I'm going to gently put some soil in there. So I like to plant my seeds about 3 or 4 times as deep a thickness as the seed. So I planted this seed about 3 inches deep because the plant was the seed was definitely an inch. So the soil is very wet, and it hasn't rained here in a long time. So I'm not even worried about it not getting enough moisture from the soil, because it's got all that biology on its root from the inoculation of the water that I put it in from the soil aggregate. So it has the memory already on its surface that are going to colonize that root and be uptaken in the plant. The plant is going to farm those inside its cell through the rhizophagy cycle and build more microbes and excrete them into the environment around it to build its soil microbial rhizosphere that it needs to grow normally. And I'm going to mark this with a little stick right here. This is all off that great big guanacast tree, so it's got nitrogen fixing biology in it, I'm sure. And I'm going to put this right here so I can remember to mark it. And then I'm going to do one over here in a little more sun. Or maybe I'll plant it right here. See how good the soil is here. So this all started out as white sand, and you can see that it's very black now. And it's starting to aggregate. And look at that. That's really nice soil, very nice soil. And that's because we keep the living root on top of it, and we have built up the soil microbes. And these aggregates form during the the drought. So, and if you are constantly mowing with machinery, you're compacting the soil, and that's probably been the worst problem here is the compacted soil. Has been our greatest disadvantage for plant growth and fitness. Because in compacted soil, nutrients can't move through it, water can't move through it, so none of the nutrient cycles can work correctly, which is why people have to apply gypsum here, even though we're on calcareous rock. I think maybe that may have been what upset one of the people on TFF is I constantly say, why are people applying gypsum in Florida? Well, first of all, it's because they've acidified their soil from compaction and using salt-based fertilizers, and they've killed the biology, and there is no organic matter in the soil. That's been a major problem with Florida because they don't have living roots which buffer the pH, because the rhizosphere of the plants, the living plants, keep the soil pH at optimal range for plant growth. And if you don't have it and you don't have deep roots in the soil, then you're not going to have soil that is at optimal range to cycle calcium. So it's too acidic for the plants to uptake calcium. So then they have to apply gypsum. So I'm glad that I've learned all this stuff. And here's that other seed. It looks pretty healthy. It doesn't have any roots coming out of it. The soil is very wet. This was all white sand, and the top layer is all aggregates, and then the deeper you go, it just gets lighter and lighter until it does turn into white sand again. But I should be able to see where that was. I'm going to go get my stakes and put them next to these plants so that I can look at the progress, make sure that they're growing correctly. This is I believe this is the Poeutaria bone shell. Looks like a really good fruit. I'm quite excited to taste that. These are those seed-grown Wampi, the IE one. I have the II one. One's from Australia, one's from other parts of Asia. Different colors. A lot of people think you have to water and fertilize orchids in Florida, which is not the case. I mean, I've never fertilized these orchids and I've never watered them, and they do just fine. I had trouble removing the sphagnum moss. In fact, it's next to impossible. So sphagnum moss has been a major problem here for plant survival. When I plant a plant that had sphagnum or peat moss around its roots that I couldn't get off, the plant almost always died. So I plant plants bare root, like seeds. I plant them bare root so that the plant can communicate with its soil microbiome instantly and get colonized by the plant beneficial microbes that colonize the rhizosphere of the plant that I'm planting. And when you have a soil that's been in a pot that has black plastic, yeah, I can't get away from it either. That's these stakes, at least they're metal in the bottom. But when you're growing in black plastic, the black plastic pots, you know, they are full of heavy metals, especially the thick, hard ones, lead, cadmium, all kinds of nasty forever chemicals and stuff. But the microplastics, they break down into the soil fairly quickly, and they move to the rhizosphere of the plant and prevent the plant from absorbing water. So it reduces the efficiency of the plant's metabolism. And that's another reason why I don't use plastics. And also they're finally finding all these damaging effects of plastics in our systems. They have a new disease called plasticosis, where seabirds that ingest plastic have scar tissue on their intestines, and they eventually rupture from the inside out, starve to death. So the same thing probably is going to eventually happen to us, the more plastic that we put into the system. So I'm totally against using black plastic pots or any plastic to grow plants. And I tried to remove them. I don't use them to grow anything anymore. It's very hard to move away from. So I'm going to put this right here so I know where that is. Hopefully I'll be able to remember what it is. But all this stuff is connected. And I share this stuff because I want people to improve their health. And I love Florida so much, and for some reason that could be a problem for people. They think that I'm lying, but they've never watched my videos, or they've watched one or two of them, and they obviously, if I'm showing videos of what's happening, both good and bad, the proof is in the video. So you have to watch the video in order to form an opinion. But even then, some people just don't believe what they see. So you can win some of the people some of the time, but you can't win all of them. And I appreciate other people's viewpoints because it does motivate me to learn more and do a better job. And so that's why I thank you for your negative comments to get me to think better. So this is that Platonia insignis. It looks good. This leaf looks a little bit dry or haggard right here at the tip, but it could have been because that's brushing on it. But it's got a new leaf coming out on it. This was a direct sown seed that popped up during the winter, so I don't think it's that cold sensitive. I'm very excited about that plant. The fruit sounds amazing, and it's doing good. So I have two of those. Those are expensive seeds too. These seeds have gotten so expensive, and I just don't want to be a seed seller that sells really expensive seeds. I want to be more like Montoso Gardens and Oscar at Fruit Lovers that sell seeds at a reasonable price. Hopefully, now that my partner is getting retired, or that is retired, they're going to do a website. This is a Chachiro that's looking great, new leaves. We will have our website up and running in 2024. There's a little mushroom here. It's like something's been eating it. Definitely something's been eating it. Must be an edible mushroom of some sort, but I'm not going to chance it. So I'm going to look at my latest Garcinia fruit tree, since, you know, I'm doing a video on Garcinia latissima, and Garcinia is probably my favorite genus. Next, Polyteria might be up there. Also, the star apples could be. Who knows? Including the Argenteum iratum, the juicy pearl star apple. But I'm excited to see what Oscar's giant purple does. Hopefully they'll be flowering soon. I definitely have them planted all around each other, so that hopefully we'll get some cross-pollination going, because I've heard that's been a problem for people to get fruit set. But they're all growing in close range of each other, so hopefully it won't be a problem. And this is a Garcinia brasiliensis. I eat the skin and all on that. It's doing a huge super bloom right now. This time of year, it does its biggest crop, and then it continuously fruits throughout the year. This is Garcinia gardneriana with all new leaves coming out on it. Usually when Garcinias start producing leaves, they are flowering a lot of times. That has not been the case with my fruiting achachiro tree this year. But the air smells so good from these Garcinia flowers. I love it. This is the Garcinia hambromiana. I think the seeds sell for this for like $6 or $7 each, and I imagine there's multiple seeds in each fruit. But it looks like we're going to have a lot of... This particular fruit did not get cross-pollinated, so I want to hold this fruit for myself to see if it is turns into a female tree, which it should, because the female plants on the dioecious Garcinias tend to be monoecious, or hermaphrodites, whatever. I'm just sharing my information that from what I observed going on with the Garcinia livingstonii and the hambromiana. This is getting a lot of fruit set on it. A lot of new flowers are popping up all over it. It's now starting to flower up higher. They have a very long flowering period, so I imagine we're going to get a lot of fruit off this tree. And we have male trees flowering now, so Garcinia hambromiana, the seashore mangosteen, for some reason, Weird Fruit Explorer has never reviewed. I find that bizarre, because it's supposed to be a really good fruit, and you just can't buy any fruit. I imagine I'll be able to sell some of the fruit. It is not going to be some exorbitant rate at the per seed price, but it has to be something in between Miami fruit and this price of one seed. I haven't decided yet. Depends on how much fruit I get. Will determine how low I go. This is that male hambromiana. I'm pretty sure this is hambromiana, but it has pink flowers before it opens, and then it opens white. But the outside of the flower is always pink on this particular male hambromiana tree that has never produced fruit. They are not self-fertile, the males. The MB can produce fruit off its random fruit off its male flower. Here's a achachiro tree, and this is our fruiting Garcinia madruna tree that fruits year-round, and fruit sells for outrageous amounts. But I let people taste it for free when they come by here when it has fruit on it. But I don't see, it looks like it's starting to flower now. So I just got a fruit off that, a random fruit. The fruit throughout the year, I mean, it's a tiny little tree. It is not as big as the first initial fruit, but then it can do another big fruit throughout the year. And then it just drops off until the winter happens. I see the rabbit's got this cashew tree. The little darlings. It's okay, we have cashews popping up. I have a big one right there, so I'm not too worried about it. Anyway, this is Eric at Frog Valley Tropical Fruit Farm, and this is Florida Natural Farming. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you enjoy this content, please leave a comment. I always love hearing from you. I hope everyone's doing well and taking care of your health, and in turn taking care of your garden. Have an excellent day.